bright out there. Hey, check it out. Rappers in my backyard. Rappers in my backyard. Rappers in my backyard. Ooh.
What's up, family? Welcome to another episode of Rappers in My Backyard, the podcast that stays lit. We rap about relationships, music, and entertainment. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope that you had a great week and was able to find peace in your heart to be able to move forward with the things that you need to do. Today's topic is going to be our relationship with murder in hip hop. And on the grill, we will be throwing on vote. We gotta vote. And we're going to talk about why we feel our vote does not count. Also, you guys know that I love starting every episode off with a quote that lays the groundwork so we can have an exciting, provocative conversation. And this will be no exception. So let's go for the quote. Sometimes life seems so unfortunate. That's why I don't give a shit. The poor stay poor. The rich get richer. It's so disproportionate. You don't know just what I've been through. That's why I'd rather show you above the law. And with that, I think that sets us up real nice to have an amazing conversation. So let's talk, express, relate, connect with our guest today. The Black Superman, Cole 187 is in the backyard. What's up, family?
What's up, fam? How you doing?
Oh, man.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad to see you, man.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm glad to see you.
It's been a long time since I saw you. So what you been up to, Cole?
Oh, I just, where do I start?
The beginning?
I have 3 grandchildren now. I have 4 wonderful kids. I'm shooting my first television show called The Black Godfather. I started like 3 different businesses, and still continue to do music. Me and Cocaine have a new project that we just finished.
Okay, and shout out to Cocaine.
Yeah, AOGF is our band is called AOGF, so we're putting that out. So that's pretty much it. My company, Massa Musa. I have a digital magazine now. I have my own streaming network that I'm launching called Musa TV as well. Okay, and Massa Musa Raw Lifestyle. So yeah, I'm in the building. I'm trying to be more of a mogul now. Which makes sense to me, hey, we need more black moguls, I think.
Yes, indeed.
But music's my heart, the arts is where my heart is at. So yeah, I'm always going to do the arts.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's kick this off right. We need to establish some history.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, Cole? Because people don't know how long you've been putting it down and how instrumental you are in this hip hop history. Okay. So let me ask you my first question. Go because ahead. It's so timely, but with everything that we're going through right now. Uh-huh. How did you come up with the name, you guys, Above the Law? Okay. Tell me about that.
Well, how we came up with it, at the time, we were fresh out of high school. Me, my brother DJ Chaos, and my man KMG, rest in peace. Shout out to Rest Above the Law, Go Mac and Cocaine. What we wanted to do, we street hustlers, because we came up in the 80s hustling, in the late 80s, and we were hustling. But at that time, everybody had like political names, from Public Enemy to, NWA. When they came. So by the time we had developed Above the Law, we actually had another name for the group. But what people don't really realize with Above the Law, what it actually stands for, it means that we make our own laws in music. We were trying to make our own rules. We didn't want to be like in a box like everybody else. So if we did gangster rap, when we started doing gangster rap, we wanted to be more political, gangster, soulful, funky, with no boundaries. We didn't want to just be a typecast group, because we wanted to talk about everything from politics to gangster shit, you know what I'm saying, like that. So so we labeled it as Above the Law. So it really had nothing to do with like the system, far as being against the system, but we came up in a very rebellious music time.
Right.
You know, so we used that to take off. And at first, when we came to Ruthless, they wanted us to be ATL, and then EazyE was like, "No, we're just gonna say y'all above the law and shake everything up."
Right.
You know what I mean?
like that name too. And
Yeah.
it brings us right to the next question, because I gotta ask. I mean, this is Ruthless June. I gotta ask you, how did your group get with EazyE and get signed to the label?
Okay, we were hustling in the streets. A good friend of mine, which is my DJ, one of my DJs, Gomac with the sack. His brother LisaO was a part of NWA as a writer, as a producer, and he's real close with Dre and EazyE from the streets. And while we were in the streets, we shot him a demo. Okay. And at the time, they had just took off on the Straight Outta Compton tour. And they were just developing Ruthless Records. They didn't have anything but the Easy Does It album. They had the NWA record, and then they had JJ Fad at the time.
Okay.
And they were developing the DOC and developing Miss LA. Okay. And so, he wanted to keep continuing it. Easy was such a mogul back then. He was like, oh, I need more groups or whatever. So I can remember like it was yesterday. We shot him a tape. We waited about 4 months and no answer. They on tour.
Right.
So he calls our house and like, hey man, I'm hearing some crazy stuff about y'all. Like, what? Are y'all out there selling dope and throwing big parties and wilding? Y'all gonna go to jail before I get to sign y'all. Stop selling dope. I'm like, well, I said, well, if you sign me, I'll stop selling dope. I was making a lot of money. It's the 80s. Understand this? It's the 80s.
Big money.
Snowfall, as they say. It's, So mind you, making a lot of money. So the tour got close. So he was like, well, come out. And I'm gonna show you how the whole layout is at Ruthless Records and what I'm trying to do. Okay. So we shot out on the Straight Outta Compton tour, and then from there, it's history. As soon as I got off tour, we went right in, and me and Dre started finishing up Living Like Hustlers, which is the first album in 1989, and then we came with the single Murder Rap, which me and KMG, we wrote Murder Rap on back then it was RTD, because we were in high school. We wrote that record when we was fresh out of high school. We weren't able to record it, and when we recorded it on the 16 track, me and Dre bumped it up to a 24 track, and all the rest of the songs, because I'd already developed Above the Law by the time they got off that tour. Okay. So me and Dre just went in and sweetened everything up, and we launched in 1990, and there you have it, Living Like Hustlers. The single Murder Rap came out in 1989, and the album Living Like Hustlers came out in 1990, and the rest is history.
There you go. And speaking of Murder Rap, how in the world did you guys get that song to be a part of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas?
Well, what it was is at the time when they were developing those games and everything, I guess they were trying to do like a bunch of records that had nostalgia to it. At the time, like the stations that they were having, I guess they researched a whole bunch of records from a period of time that was like, oh, they be playing this kind of music in these years, this time frame and that time frame, and they just happened to pick our record. I don't really, which is great, paid good,
Right, and it's a murder.
Yeah, they just picked it. I mean, it wasn't like we was looking to be on a video game or anything. They just like, okay, this seems like it's a good song to fit the game. So yeah, I mean, and Murder Rap, Murder Rap has a crazy history. That record itself, it's the second video that ever was banned on MTV. Okay. The first one was Two Live Crew, and then Murder Rap was banned on MTV. We were the first. We were one of the first albums. I don't know if we were the first, but we were one of the new groups that came out that had the explicit lyrics sticker on it. Before that, NWA didn't have it. EazyE didn't have it. We had it on Living Like Hustlers. So yeah, that song Murder Rap and the crazy part about the banning of Murder Rap on MTV wasn't even because it's called Murder Rap. It was because in the video we paid off a judge.
Oh, okay. I forgot. That didn't bother me much.
We paid off a judge. They didn't like it at MTV. I mean, you got to realize it's 1990. They didn't really want to play anything rap. They were fighting hard to play a Michael Jackson video on MTV at that time. Yeah. And people don't realize about the climate in urban music back then and hip hop in general. That was a blackballed music. That wasn't really a now it's mainstream, but back then it wasn't. I mean, and that's why props goes to Ruthless Records, because we sold a lot of records and never won the radio. We sold a lot of records and were banned everywhere we went. It's hard for us to tour. They want insurance. They want all kind of stuff. It's hard for us to do shows and on a grand scale. And we were playing arenas. So, props to EazyE, because EazyE took that risk, on us, and like I said, the rest is history. Now we here,
and because of that risk, you guys was able to put out some amazing content at a time that, I mean, your content is even timely right now. When I was doing research on your catalog, I was like, man, how perfect is this music right now? I mean, it could totally be a re-release with all this stuff that you have. And speaking of such, I want to talk to you about define what Black Superman and VSOP means to the Black culture, because both of them are very important. So let's start with Black Superman.
Okay, in regards to Black Superman, I will say this. When we wrote Black Superman, we wrote it from a perspective of, like, in the era that we came up with, it was about taking a risk to take care of your family.
Right. No
matter what that may be, that taking it up to what from the system. You got to remain like a superhero. You got to be Teflon Don or whatever. You know what I mean? When we wrote it, we said, okay, we want to write. First, let me say this. With a record like Uncle Sam's Curse, we wanted to do a political gangster record.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So when we wrote Black Superman, we wanted to write it from the perspective of when, say for instance, Cam G, rest in peace, his verse was about like a madman.
Okay.
On a warpath to get what he got to get and take care of himself. And no matter what, by all means, he going to get it. He going to take that risk, life or death, like a superhero. Mine was more like, okay, whatever risk I got to take, if I got to do time, I got to get caught up, I got to get shot at, I got to shoot somebody, I'm going to make sure my family's okay in the process. So it was two sides of the spectrum of what the average brother and sister go through with the struggles in that moment, trying to provide for their family, And it was hard for us because you got to realize we come from right before that. We had an album called Black Mafia Life, which VSOP was the single. So we went from fun, funky, fly, cool, gangster to straight up militant. But even though when we did Black Mafia Life was a statement as well. Just like Uncle Sam's Curse. Black Mafia Life was about Black family. Right. It was about Black people coming together no matter what. We always were a group that wanted to ask you a question and question yourself. You dig?
Right.
That's what Above the Law is about.
So prominent right now, because that's what we need to do is question ourselves.
There you go. Yeah. And that's what we always try to do through the music. But I think at that time it was such a diverse time. It was accepted. I think now everything is about following, the what's trending. Back then being different was what was trending. So we always knew we had to be different in NWA, but at the same time we had to say the same thing because we're talking to the same audience.
Correct.
So we figured out a way to do it. And like I said, EazyE, when I told EazyE I wanted to do a political gangster record, he was like, well, let's see how it works out. And then when he heard the record, I tell you not, Black Superman wasn't even a single. We wanted it to be California because we had just came off of VSOP. We were like, okay, they not never going to play this on the radio. We are crazy on this record.
Right,
You know what I mean? The whole record was crazy. So he listened to the whole album because we always have a listening party.
Okay.
And Black Superman was the last record I mixed. So I was like, okay, I just finished mixing this last night. So I can remember it like yesterday. He's like, yeah, okay, let me hear it. So we in there smoking, we blown. It's a good vibe.
Right.
The ending comes, the strings fade down. He said, hey man, that's the single. I said, what?
Yes.
He said, yeah, that's the single. He said, that explains all those songs you just played to me, and one record you just told me everything what the album's going to be about.
Because that does summarize that whole project in a sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And honestly, Black Superman is the way that I feel right now about my dad and the way I feel about my husband and my brother, and you guys are superheroes to us.
That's right.
And that's why I believe that you getting beat every day and killed every day and murdered every day because of the power that you guys hold to us and our culture. And we need you guys to be great. Yeah,
being Black in the world, this is what's hard. This is what's hard. You got to stand on who you are. You can't be nobody else. See, other people can be somebody else. You know, I can't be anything else but black. You know, either I'm looked at lower on the social totem pole, or I'm looked at like, oh, you used to be a slave, or I'm looked at like, oh, you're not really that intelligent. But when you show that intelligence, you become a threat to everybody.
That's it.
You know, and that's the scary part, that when you show that you can stand up for your family, then you getting taken down. Right. And they don't even want to hear when, okay, let's just go off the grid a little bit. Okay. Let's just say Marcus Garvey. Okay.
Right.
What Marcus Garvey stood for. People tried so hard to bring Marcus Garvey down. All he wanted was black people to be empowered economically. Right. Versus the difference from the Malcolms and the Martins. They wanted the same thing, but he got taken down in a vital situation to where it would have helped us if people had the energy of a Marcus Garvey now.
Yes, we need somebody like a Marcus Garvey.
Exactly. So you have to realize now everything is more based upon fighting the power. Yeah. Which what he was talking about was more so, let's empower ourselves economically. Let's have our own businesses, let's have our own cab companies, our own buses, our own hospitals, our own stuff like that. Now, if we had things like that, we would kind of dictate what they do to us, because when you don't have economic power, it's very, very hard when everybody looks at even a hardworking black man like a thug. You know, like Pac said the same thing. Like, we have no economic power, so they're not gonna look at us like nothing but thugs. So I always looked at that and was like, okay, because I was raised by my father, so for me, I always seen him be as a powerful man, you know what I mean? Right. But he worked for everything. Like, when he was a writer and a composer for Motown Records, he worked for everything he had to. And that was a black company he worked for. No one ever gave Berry Gordy like the respect that they give, say, a modern day Leor or a Clive Davis. You know, he was like kind of the other guy that did something for a whole bunch of black people people, you know. So that's the same thing you said about your father, probably. Like, he went through all the struggles to keep his family intact, and look what he get, beat down on the ground. Right. And still working a regular job and still feels unappreciated within society. So that brings about a whole lot of issues, you know, and I really want to talk about also, because you guys were in the middle of, you guys that did global politics when KMG, the illustrator, had passed. Yeah. Tell me how that changed the dynamic, the group, the thought process. Well, with the group, it changed because, okay, me and him, we're childhood friends, first of all. Yeah. I probably have known those guys as long as I've been living, basically. Like, we met when we were like 15, 16 years old. We made music together for over close to 30 years. Okay. So for me, and we were childhood friends. So for me, I've known those guys for all my life. So for me, it's devastating, you know, because when I look to my left, I don't see my man, I don't see my brother. So, but with the thing I miss the most about him is the creative focus that me and him had. You know, because we have it anywhere. We have it when we were in high school. We could have it on a bus. When we were grown men, we could have it in a strip club. You know what I mean? The song gonna come anywhere. We were roommates, so it's like, oh, we could be looking at something on TV, or we could be hanging out with chicks and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna write a song about this. Right. You know, a lot of those records that you hear us writing, they're just like, some of them, funny thing about us, some of them be jokes. You know, like, and then we take them serious, like, oh, we can rope this into this, you know? Right. Yeah, and we always, we never, my pops always taught me, you know, a song is when you look out the window. A song is when you look into the next person's eyes. A song is when you walking down the street. So me and him always practiced that, you know. And that's a great thing about a person like KMG. That's what I miss the most with our process of making records. And the thing is, he's the vocal. He's my, you know, he's my yin. You know, I'm the yang. Right. You know, Coca was the additive preservatives, but without him, there is really no above the law for me. You know, it's us as childhood friends, you know, existing, but me and him are the vocals. Right. You know, it's just like saying Earth, Wind & Fire without what? Which one? They all, there you go. They're together. Right. The two voices have to go together. Yes, especially Philip Bailey. There you go. So those voices have to go together. Yeah. You know. Yeah. So yeah, that's why it hit me so hard. My friendship and our everyday moments. Yeah, everyday moments, you know, because when you can have a friend that have the same love for you and have the same love interest in music, that's an incredible journey anyway.
Yes, indeed. And hold it right there, because I just got to sign. We need to go to break, you guys. We will continue on this question with the Black Superman Code 187. And when we get back, we got to throw vote on the grill and why we feel that our vote don't count. So hang with us, you guys. Rappers in My Backyard, the podcast is Stays Lit. We'll be right back. Peace.
Yo, what's cracking? It's your boy Chill, original Compton's Most Wanted, and I'm in the backyard chilling with the homegirl LisaO. West up.
Hey folks, this is Lonzo, the godfather of West Coast hip hop, kicking it live in the backyard with LisaO.
Yo, what's good? It's Busy Bone from Bone Thugs in Harmony, and I'm thugging it in the backyard with LisaO.
This your girl, Miss Danielle. I'm in the backyard. Pull up with LisaO.
Yo, this your boy Infrared, and I'm kicking it with my homegirl, LisaO, and rappers in the backyard, Compton.
Yo, it's your boy Kid Gnarly. You tuning in with LisaO, and we're on Rappers in My Backyard. Let's get it.
This is Silky D, chilling with LisaO, right here in Rappers in My Backyard.
Yo, it's your girl, Miss Toy. You know that real in the city. I'm chilling with my girl, LisaO, in the backyard. You know, where the rappers be.
Yo, this is Gangsta Drayster, and I'm chilling with LisaO in the backyard. Rappers in my backyard, to be exact.
Yo, what's up, world? This is Cool 187. Above the laws in the building. And you know what I'm doing right now? I'm chilling in the backyard with my homegirl, LisaO. What up, world? Back!
What's up, family? Thank you for hanging with us. We need to get back to this amazing conversation with the Black Superman Code 187. So let's finish up a little bit with that in reference to the death of KMG and Global Politics, the album that was about to just scorch the place.
Well, you know, it's all, I mean, the records are there. I mean, I'm trying to finish the book. So once we finish the book, then we're going to put the record out. But as of right now, I mean, like I said, I don't, you know, it's just hard. You know, it's hard. You know, like revisiting all of that is really hard. Like making a record, doing a record, going back to visit those records is hard. So it's a hard finish right now. We just have to, we have to figure it out, So, but I mean, something's coming. So it's coming. Don't, it's not over. I mean,
it's just beginning.
We have a lot of records together still. So we're just trying to figure out the right time to do it. And, also we want to do a series about our career and, all the people that we work with and everything. So
a movie would be so awesome.
But people trying to get at us to do a series, kind of like a TV
like
series,
they did with Wu-Tang.
Yeah, Living Like Hustlers. It's called Living Like Hustlers, where it's about our lives and how we got into the music industry and all that.
Yeah.
Because it was heavy. We wrote our first album in a dope spot. Now they call it a trap house. We wrote it in a dope spot. We wrote Living Like Hustlers in a dope house. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the whole album.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that global politics, man, like right now, if we could release it, I mean,
Yeah.
it's got so many heaters in there. But I understand your process too, as it refers to somebody so.
Yeah, like I said, we have to have legs on it. We always look at it like, okay, if we're doing something, like we're very critical of what we want to put out and how we want to put it out. Right. We never were, I would say, agitators. We always, if the climate is right, we putting the record out, and that's why a lot of people label us as being before our time, because we would always put it out when we felt like putting it out. We never let the situation dictate what we were doing as a group. That's why we always put records out when we wanted to. Like when the climate was with the Rodney King stuff, we talked about that way before it happened. When the climate was like, okay, like we talked about Trump and all that stuff way back then, before he was, light years before he became a president, you know what I mean? So we always talked about the system and racism and all that stuff. Like, yeah, we already talked about that. So yeah, anything that you would say, okay, an Above the Law album would suit any era for us, because I don't see any change, to be honest with you. I know I've seen it all. I won't say I've seen it. I haven't seen what's to come, because no one knows the unforeseen. But I will tell you this: I've been tased, I've been beat down by the police, I've been all of that. I've been everything. I've been incarcerated. I'm an ex-con. I'm all of that. So I got a number on my back. So for me, I've been subjected to all of that back then. The same thing that cats are subjected to now. Yeah, right. I just happened to die like the cat Floyd, you know what I mean? But my thing,
countless others.
That's and countless others, yeah.
Rihanna,
you're right, yeah.
Everybody else,
when you killing all of us, it's ridiculous. Like
girls, guys, kids, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like everything else, Cole. That sets us up nice for the grill.
Okay.
Let's put that vote on the grill.
Let's do it.
We need to talk about why it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So let's deal with voting. Throw it on the grill.
All right.
And let's set some context on it.
Okay.
Because, and I think that we could set it up real nice with this cool little quote from Frederick Douglass.
Okay.
That he said, slavery is not abolished until the black man has a ballot. Okay. So we got the ballot, but a lot of us don't feel that our vote counts.
Right.
Because originally in 1965, when we got the right to vote, we felt that it was going to secure our freedom and self-determination. But that hasn't happened.
Okay.
So why do you think that we feel that our vote doesn't count?
Because I think, honestly, I still think the supreme people in this country still have Jim Crow ideals.
True.
They don't consider who we are on a level of that we count.
Right.
As people. It's fine for us to think in our head that, oh yeah, we got the right to vote, but when people look at you less than on a social level, less than on an economic level, I really don't think you're going to move the legislation needle. Okay?
Facts.
So that's my point when we're saying like why our vote don't count. Now it counts to show that black people go out to the polls and vote. It counts to that. But when your vote doesn't change laws and the laws don't work in your benefit, does it really count? So just think about that. Like if we put logics and mathematics to it, is it any different than the 60s, except for you can drink out of the same water fountain in them and eat at the same restaurant as them? It's really not no difference, ideally. You see what I'm saying? everything that we talk about in life, it's all, change your ideals, your whole life change. These folks will never change their ideals about black people. Never. You won't get them in the room to change it. A rich black man is going to be what? A rich nigga. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to be tolerated, but their ideals of you is not going to change. Oh, that's an exceptional nigga. You know what I mean? So, like, we don't have a brain between our ears or something,
Right.
He knows how to count backwards and chew bubble gum and drive a car in circles. Okay? That's why you treat us. When we are very brilliant people, we came from a brilliant place.
Yes.
We came from excellence, So that's their ideals about us.
Right.
So when we talk about our vote counts, no, our vote doesn't count because they think that, okay, you're less than anyway.
Right.
So if you don't count on Tuesday when you go and pick up tacos, what do you think you'll count when you go to the polls? So
I understand that mentality, but we somehow got to figure out how we can make it work.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that we're going to change things. Like when I was doing more research on voting and stuff, there was a lot that I didn't know.
Okay.
Because once we were afforded those rights, then everything started going. We're redistricting, and then we're going to do it a Tuesday at 9:00. Like all of these things that would conflict with our daily lives, because we got to stay at our jobs. They're not just going to let us go for an hour or two to go vote.
Niggas got to work.
There it is. So
they can't come.
You know what I mean? So my thing is, we have power. We got to figure out a way that, to be able to exercise that vote, and then we got this other thing with the electoral college each state gets a certain amount of votes based on how many representatives that they have in Congress, because Hillary Clinton won that vote,
right?
The most popular vote over Clinton.
Now, see, here's what.
Come on.
See, here's what we all miss in this.
Okay.
You know what a poll is, right?
Talk to the audience, because we need.
Okay. Polling is just an opinion, basically.
Right.
Now that influences those people who you're talking about in electoral colleges.
Okay.
So the more we influence those people, if they want to sway our way, then we get things done. If they don't, they do what they want to do. You get what I'm saying? And that's why I always say, if you look at other races of people, say the Korean guy, he counts because what he got the banks, he got stores, he's a part of the economic. Say the Jewish guy, he gets this, he gets that, he gets, he has his own area, he has a Koreatown, Jewish town, whatever,
right.
Greek town, whatever.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah, he's in position. Like
right.
So guess what he's a part of? He's a part of something that moves what? The legislation needle. Yes. It changes laws.
Yes.
People, we have to wake up. When I talk about economics, I don't talk about it, but I don't talk about it so you can get a fresh car and a dookie chain. Okay? I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about so you can get the freshest Jordans in the world. I'm talking about so you can own businesses, so you can actually put your people in powerful positions, your children that come out of colleges, your people that you're educating, so you can put money into your community. You know what I mean? You could put money into your public school system yourself. You don't have to go to anybody else. If you're a successful black person from your community, you could say, okay, I made $1 million. I'm going to put $100,000 into the LA Unified School District. And I'm going to go to every school and put computers in there and after school programs and create those things yourself. You don't have to go to a politician to do that. Mm-hmm. Now when you actually making moves like that, which is what back in the days, the Black Panthers were doing. Mm-hmm. That's why the Black Panthers, they feared them so much, because they were using their rules and what you researching and played it against them and showed, okay, here's the mirror, Right. So the same thing you're talking about, we are supposed to be afforded to have that voice. But what do they come up with? Oh, it's electoral colleges. Okay, you mean if the black vote influences those people who actually votes that count, then you care about us.
Right.
Now that's a slippery slope we on right now. We really don't have nothing, and I don't get into this. This is my whole thing, and I can lay it out. I know,
because it pisses me off when I don't get into this. About it. Yeah,
I don't get into this. I don't get into let's vote for somebody that we can beg to. I don't get into that.
Correct.
Because it doesn't benefit me to do that. I'm not a beggar. I'm not nobody that we know that we done came up with ever beg for nothing. For real, we had to put our boots on, lace them up tight, and go get it. So. That's my whole thing about voting. I don't think that I don't think that I think it doesn't count because of the social aspect that we have as black people. And black people, we can never change our social status with these people unless we have economic power and be financially literate, you know.
Right. I totally agree with you with that. But we got to show up this year with
Absolutely.
the voting.
Yeah.
And whatever we need to do, like I said, constantly reminding people to vote. We really, you guys, this time, we really got to hang our hat on making a difference and learning all the rules and regulations. You know what I'm saying? About how they keep changing things. And we got to get more clever than that, you know, because they're cutting off our districts to where we don't have as many votes. And also, though, too, we got to rebuild from the bottom up, meaning like our local person that we see that be getting in our face saying that they need our vote.
That's true.
What are you going to do in order to make a change in our communities? So I think that really we have to start from the bottom up, because by the time it gets to the president, it's like.
And I think that has to reflect you. You know what I mean? Like that person has to reflect you. He has to be a person that understands what that is. You know, sometimes these politicians, they're not from where we're from.
Yeah.
But they want to run our district. They want to run these things, but they're not, they don't know, they don't have empathy for it. They don't have empathy for what we need.
And don't know the struggle, quite honestly.
There you go. Yeah, they don't know the struggle. I didn't want to lay it out on the street level, but don't know the struggle. So those people, I think, in there fighting for us, they have to be us. They can't be someone removed from us. They have to be us.
Right.
You know, because we know it. You know what I mean? We know what the struggle is in these communities.
Yeah. And we got to be able to have somebody that can voice that opinion. But I said all that to say, and the reason why we throwing it on a grill today is because still and yet we feeling that our vote don't count. We have to make it count. Just like we've made everything else in our life count. Nobody never counted us in. We always had to create a lane in which you notice us.
Well, one thing I will say about what you're talking about, you have to actually do it in order to be accounted for. Now, here's the difference is, what are you doing after you put that vote in? See, that's my thing. My thing is like, okay, what are we doing after we voted? Okay. What are we doing for our community, though?
Right.
We voted. Okay, what are you doing? What is this person doing for your community, though? Because that's what's going to make the change. That's what's going to influence that.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. Because it has to be something that people feel like they're threatened by if they don't sway your way.
Facts.
So if you're building a strong, positive community and you're flourishing, guess what's going to happen with your vote? It's going to count. See, that's what people don't realize. You know what I mean? If you don't have a community that's flourishing, they're going to be like, okay, why do I need that? Why do I need them? That's why the Korean vote count here. That's why the Jew vote count. That's why, and that's what we're talking about. All we're talking about is an ideal. We're not saying you going out and affecting the polls don't count. We're saying if you don't make your community stronger yourself, they're not going to really consider you as being someone that they should consider changing for.
Right. Or having a voice for.
And
on that note, you guys, you have to vote. We got to figure it out. We're going to be on that vote. And just like Code 187 said, it's not about just placing the vote. It's also the action after it.
That's right.
We always got to stay on the JOB. It never ends. Yep. So let's get ready and start doing your research and start figuring out exactly how, like you do with everything, like we do with everything, to figure out to make our vote count. And with that, we done burnt that sucker. We done boiled it and we done threw it on the grill. Get it out of here. Get it out of here. Let me see that grill just sizzle right now. There it is. All right, man. Let's get back to the questions.
All right.
Because we need to talk about our relationship with murder and hip hop.
Okay, go ahead.
You know what I mean? So, in your opinion, what is our relationship with murder and hip hop? Well, in your opinion,
violence, you know, and I want to just put it out there. Violence is always intriguing to people. We use it for shock value. You know, when we first started making records, my name is the penal code for murder, right? No one ever was using 187, but my brother DJ Chaos, he came up with it because I used to battle a lot of, we was hustling. We used to go to picnics and take over picnics and just battle MCs and DJ against them and all that. And when we started Above the Law, he's like, man, you be killing them, man. You like a murderer, man. Like you killing it. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, you think so? He said, yeah, you should call yourself 187. I said, yeah, but I want to put something with that. I said, yeah, I'm a cold murderer. He's like, yeah. And the reason why I put the UM on it is to make you say cold 187. Like they said, like spray paint on the wall, like the arm on the wall, like we talk, seven. Seven. Yeah, seven.
Like that.
7-11.
7-11.
Yeah, so but I think I think anything when you're in an art perspective, I think the more extreme that you go is, I think people are entertained by that because they don't actually have to go out and be involved in murder, but they can hear the most craziest, heinous stuff, through music. And that's always been intrigued. I was intrigued with it, like if I see a Scarface movie or so, okay, if there ain't no killing in it, that ain't no what we doing, yeah, it's the same thing when it translates into music, So I think that's why it became so profound. And in our era, I don't think it was so much of kill. I think it was more of the reality of a lot of death around us. At the time, the 80s were crazy, gang culture, the dope culture. It's a lot of stuff going on in the 80s, So for us, we always use that to be the soundtrack of people's lives. Right. That kind of angle with it. It wasn't more so to say I'm about standing up and fighting for what's right. So I always said, hey, if I can't talk about killing somebody off, I can't stand up for politics. I can't stand up for being righteous for something, So we always use that, to be cutthroat, to be, if I want to talk about skinheads or Adolf Hitler, whoever, people that have done my people wrong, it's about some killing going on with it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, that's the only reason.
I don't want to be like a nigga die, but I mean, that's a part of our culture too, which is sad and disheartening, but you have to create that soundtrack, I think, for people, So I think that's why it always plays a major part in hip hop. Because I think it's the soundtrack of our lives. Like I think the rappers that come out and make music, they look at their neighborhood and say, okay, this is what's going on in my neighborhood.
Facts.
It's not all daisies and gumdrops and sunny skies, although it's very nice in Los Angeles with nice high palm trees, but it's a lot of murder going on.
Yes,
here,
it is. Yes, it
is.
And
so I think in our time frame, when we made records, that's what we saw. We talk about everything from one extreme to another extreme, even though one of our cornerstones was to talk about the dark side of the life growing up in Southern California.
Right. So do you think that's the reason why, like when we're talking about a Nipsey Hussle, once it seems like an artist passes, a rapper passes, then all of a sudden their record sales go to the roof. Why do you think we need to be murdered or killed in order to get the just due that we should have got? Like Nip should have got that justification while he was here. I would love for him to see what's going on.
See the crazy part about like Nipsey Hussle to me was the fact that I watched the kid bust his ass like for years. You know what I mean? And he built his own fan base basically. Most humble dude, one of the most humble young rappers I ever met too.
Good.
I met Nip when we were working on the Compton album with Dre, and he came in and hung out with us for a whole session. And I was like, humble dude, man. But I think the way he got killed was actually even crazier because it's the same thing we're talking about. Street politics and gang culture, and it's South Central. You know what I mean? Like a normal day in South Central. Basically, just happened to be a famous rapper. But I think that when it comes to when I look at the industry, because I watched when Pac died, when Pac got killed, I watched when Biggie got killed, how they impacted the culture even more. Pac was a good friend of mine. I knew Biggie as well, but it's the same thing with Nipsey. When Nipsey passed, then they started acknowledging how hard he worked. but she was busting his ass already.
All along.
You know what I mean? So same thing with Pac. Oh, Pac becomes this icon. He already was telling y'all everything. You could go back to his interviews when he was putting out records like Dear Mama and all that. When he was going crazy, like, you know what I mean? Like, he always had that. Now he's just this and he's just that. When he went to prison, nobody cared about Tupac. You know what I mean? And then he get murdered, and everybody cared about him. Now everybody wanted to do murals and all that. And that's how life is to me sometimes. In a twofold situation, you have all these companies that put everything in your face after these people die, and then on a Tuesday when you just want them to shoot a video for you, they could care less, you know. But when you die, you all plastered all over mainstream, and that's them pushing it. So that's the terrible part. I think the people in hip hop always want to, as they say, put flowers, you know, give our people flowers as we live in. But I think the corporate doesn't, because the corporate always figures out an angle to sell something. Yes. So, and I think death sells.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, you tied that up nicely, that death sells. You know what I mean? And that our relationship with murder and hip hop is one of, like you said, we are somewhat of street reporters. We're just writing what we see in our life. And murder does play a prominent part in our lives. It seems like we're always ducking murder one way or another.
Right, yeah.
So that's why I felt that was a really great thing to speak to you about. Your name Code 187. You above the law.
That's right. Yeah.
You got a murder rap. You my black Superman.
There you go. Yeah.
We drinking VSOP together.
Yes,
I know all your stuff. But I like to ask everybody on the show this question, because this show really is all about relationships.
Okay.
Like me and you getting down today and forming one.
No doubt.
You know, do you have a relationship? And I don't want to say in music and entertainment. I'm just saying, period, that you would like to mend, and why? And bleed for me, Cole.
Well, not really. I mean, because with me, when it comes to, I'm a friend first.
Right.
You know, and I always tell people, I'm only going to do this one time. You know what I mean? So I came to a conclusion that where I'm gonna always stay consistent with the people I have relationships with. I'm always try to be that friend to them. You know, I don't tear down friendships. I don't burn bridges. I don't even, it's just people that have done me wrong in business. I still mend that. I just don't do business with them any longer.
Right.
You know, I just happen to be a person like that. After my pops passed and after my best friend passed, I was like, hey, look, I don't never want to live that life where I got to double back and mend anything. So if I haven't mended it, I think that there's not one relationship I can think that I've, you know, I'll give you an example. When I went to prison, the woman I was with for 13 years, left me for another dude.
Okay.
Me and her tight as could be, you know, because I told her one time in the process I was going through with my father dying, my uncle passing, my best friend dying, I don't want to be at odds with you. If I got to go tomorrow, I don't want to be at odds with you. So when I could do that, that means there is nobody on this planet that I cannot have a relationship with, because that was the most devastating time in my life. So no, there's not anybody that I have to mend it with. You know, I mean, everyone that I could say that have done me wrong, so-called, or I've done something to, I've said, I'm sorry. Let's be friends, move on. We don't have to talk. You can go do you.
Right.
God bless you, because I can't.
And we need to do more of that too.
Absolutely.
You know, we do this silent thing, or, you know, and all these beefs or whatever over very simple things. And it's just a conversation, you know.
Because I realize
it's
just business. A lot of it is just business, and it's about being human. You know, when you're the most, you know, we're the, like the sister said earlier, like, you know, life isn't perfect. I always say we're the imperfect masterpiece. That's what humans are.
Yes.
You know, so we have to understand that we're flawed. So fix things. Don't be like that. And you only have one time here, so don't be a person like that.
Wisely.
Use it wisely. Yep.
Right. So you know what, Cole 187? How did you get in my backyard?
Oh, my man Greedy Greg, you know, beat me up, man. You know, I want you to do the show and this and that, and I'm like, nah, I ain't gonna do the show. Nah, I'm just playing.
No, I know you here because of Greedy Greg. That's cool, but you know what? Next time when you come back, you will be back for me.
I'm here for you because he made that very clear. No, but me and him have a really great relationship. You know, we've been friends for years. probably my whole career. You know, I met Greedy when I first started putting records out in the 90s. He's always been consistent to me. I always had support. You know, I went to New York for a minute, and Greedy was, when I came back from New York, he was the only one who opened his doors to me. You know, so for that, I gotta always be grateful to him. He's like, yeah, you know, whatever you need. And he kind of like, I was starting my own label, and he kind of held my hand through the whole thing, like, do this, do that, do that. So I was calling him, he's like my Yoda, like, Greedy, what you think? Oh, go over there. There's goals in them there heels. You know?
Right. He's just
so he's always
dude.
been that for me, you know, so I could never not see supporting nothing that he do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta support it, you know, because he always had my back, you know. So yeah, that's how I'm here.
Hey, we're glad to have you. So lastly, how can we follow your movement? Tell us where we can follow you on Instagram, if you got a website.
Okay, yeah.
How can we follow you?
Well, you could follow me, my Instagram. I have a couple of them now.
Okay, let's kick it.
Okay, you can follow my internet magazine, and you can also follow me here at 187 Rockboy Honey's World _ENT.
Okay.
You also, also you can follow me on Mansa Musa Royal at IG.
Okay.
And then the website for that, for my merchandise, for my lifestyle brand, is MansaMusaRoyalty.com.
Okay.
So yeah, MansaMusaRoyalty.com. And that's everywhere you can find me. And also we're dropping the internet. I'm dropping the internet magazine the end of this summer, and you can subscribe to it. It's free. It's like, it downloads like a book, like a Kindle book.
Okay.
It's a digital magazine, digital interactive magazine, and that's at rockboyhoneys.com.
All right.
So,
well, you
yeah.
got it going.
And log on,
should.
and I want you guys to remember this, because I'm launching this my television show, The Black Godfather, in August, and it's going to be on my own streaming network, MusaTV.net.
Okay, so, I can't wait to see that.
I mean,
that's what I'm just like waiting for.
Yeah, The Black Godfather's crazy.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it. Women are gonna love it, because it's kind of soap opera-ish.
Yeah, you know we love that.
It's
soap
drama.
Opera. Yeah. Well, you know what? Sometimes life seems so unfortunate, and that's why I don't give a shit. The poor stay poor, and the rich get richer. Is so disproportionate. You don't know just what I've been through. That's why I'd rather show you. And that's from Above the Law, and that is what this whole episode has been about. That very quote. So, wow. You with me, Cole?
I'm with you all for life.
Thank you so much, man, for getting on the show with me today. You dropped some nuggets, some heat. In fact, I was even able to use one of your quotes, which is very rare. But, you know, I just really appreciate all you do for the culture. That's right. Me and you going to get together and figure out a way to get these folks to vote. So I'm going to be reaching out to you through all your different things that you got going. Yeah. We're going to correspond, and we're going to get our people right on the right path.
Yeah. And we're going to get people proactive, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to get these people proactive, because that's what it's about.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, and thanks so much.
Thank you.
And to my audience, thanks so much for tuning in today to Rappers in My Backyard, the podcast that stays lit. Make sure that you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, and guess what? Hit that bell, because that's how you're going to find out about guests like Cole 187 and all the things that's going on with the podcast, and how we keeping this thing lit. Okay. And also check out our new website, rappersinmybackyard.com. We burning this thing up, and we serious about this thing called hip hop. So make sure you guys tune into that too. So let's talk, express, relate, connect next Sunday at 2 with your girl LisaO, and you know I'm running this thing. So thanks so much for tuning in, and make sure that you keep it gangsta and have a great week. I love you guys, and thanks so much again. Peace. We rap about relationships, entertainment, and music. You heard?